Hey there, and welcome to the A&Q series. We're answering commonly asked questions surrounding the Christian faith, but if we're going to be honest, sometimes these answers lead to more questions, and that's just how this is going to work. Today you asked, what is Palm Sunday? Why do people celebrate it? Where does the tradition even come from? So, Palm Sunday is recognized as the last Sunday before Easter. Many Christians around the world choose this day to remember Jesus coming to Jerusalem that week before his crucifixion. But what exactly happened on that first Palm Sunday? Historically, people gathered to celebrate the feast of Passover in Jerusalem each year. Now, this is a feast that celebrates and remembers the Exodus, the time in the Old Testament when the children of Israel were rescued out of slavery in Egypt. In fact, to this day, this feast is celebrated by Jewish people as they remember how God rescued them. Jesus, a man born into a Jewish family, celebrated this feast like everyone else. Now, like so many others, Jesus would come to Jerusalem for the days leading up to this feast. For him, he's staying with friends on the outskirts of town in a place called Bethany. But what I want you to imagine now is that on that Sunday, which for us would be like a Monday, because this is the first day of the work week after the Jewish Sabbath on Saturday. So the roads are probably crowded going into the city. The markets are waking up and bustling. Everyone, you walked next to, it was just so crowded because so many people had come into town for the Passover. And on top of that, there's another kind of excitement brewing. See, the word had been spreading throughout the region about a prophet anointed with God's power. And so there's this talk, this hoping, this wondering, could he be the promised Messiah? So many are wondering the same thing. Is he going to claim the throne of Israel? Is this going to be the moment when Messiah rescues the Jewish people from the oppressive powers of Rome? It's on everyone's mind, and this is a part of the buzz on the street that Sunday. So you go to Luke chapter 19, and we begin to see Jesus making this trip from Bethany to Jerusalem on foot. It wasn't that far. But he sends two of his disciples ahead to the next little village on the way to pick up a young donkey or a colt for him to ride for the rest of the way into Jerusalem. Now that's a strange little detail to include, and it might not seem like a big deal. Why would Jesus even do this? He couldn't have been tired of walking already, so what's going on? To those watching Jesus, they knew exactly what was going on. They knew why he was doing this, and it was a big deal. Jesus is intentionally reaching back to a prophecy in the Old Testament. The book of Zechariah says, "See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly, and riding on a donkey." It's one of those bold statements to that audience that we might just read over if we're not careful. But these Jewish men and women would have known the scriptures, and they would have known the prophecies and the message surrounding Messiah, and they knew exactly what Jesus was saying to them. One scholar calls it prophetic theater. Jesus is essentially saying to the people, it's true, it's all true. Your king is now coming into the city. And at this point, when the city sees Jesus and that donkey, the crowd just loses it. They begin to cry out and spread their coats on the ground. This was an ancient practice that people would do to welcome a conquering hero or king into the city. But they're not just doing that. They're starting to break off these palm branches. Now, for all sorts of reasons, this is a symbol of freedom. So I want you to know that this moment is emotionally charged. It's got all of this symbolism. And we're right on the edge of what could be a revolution against Rome. See, the way we remember Palm Sunday in church services is probably nowhere near as loud or as maybe even dangerous as that Sunday when Jesus rode into Jerusalem. This crowd is almost out of control. People are longing and joyful for a king to deliver them from Rome, from oppression, from all that they've been experiencing. It's as if they've been crying out to God, saying, God, I'm sick of the way things are going. I'm sick of the way we have to live. Please come rescue us. And then here comes Jesus. And the closer he gets to Jerusalem, Jesus starts weeping. Why? I mean, they're cheering for him. They're acting like he's, a conquering king. What's wrong then? It's because he knows. He knows that they're missing it. He knows that they are expecting a different kind of king. You see, what these people want is a bloody revolt against Rome, but Jesus knows that's not going to bring them peace. He knows that some of the same people who are now shouting for him will be shouting, "Crucify him," by the end of the week. Now, with that, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. That's the crucifixion, which precedes the resurrection. But to come back to today's question, why is Palm Sunday still celebrated by many? One way to think about it is as a reminder. It's a reminder to us of what kind of king Jesus really is. He's not a political figure. He's not a military leader. Jesus came as our Savior. He is the King who leads us out of exile and into freedom. He's the King who meets us in our longing and homesickness. He's the King who deals with our sin once and for all and welcomes us home. That's why we celebrate Palm Sunday. Now, does this stir up more questions? If it does, let us know what it is that you're wrestling with, what you're wondering about, and let's keep talking. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you can know when new videos like this one are available. We'll see you next time.